Hey, good afternoon, everyone. It's Trackerman44 here. I tell you guys, I try to keep up with my videos all the time. Try as I might, I just can't do it. I've got dozens and dozens and dozens of videos, and today it's just pouring down rain, just a miserable day. I've got tons of things working in the shop, but I just took a little bit of a day off today, sat inside with the missus, trying to catch up on some of the older videos. And I come across a real neat antique tractor show I went to. I think it was August of 2019. As a matter of fact, it's the last tractor show that we were able to go to. But in there's some really neat things. I think if you like old chainsaws, steam engines, a bunch of old tractors, make and break engines or flywheel engines, things of that nature. There's even a shingle cutter. There's a veneer machine. Now you talk about an awesome thing as a veneer machine. But there's a couple of old two-man saws, and there's an old Waukesha saw that's like a crosscut saw that's operated with a make and break engine or a throttle governed engine possibly. And just a lot of neat things in there. So I thought I would just go ahead and pop this one out and fix it up and put it in there for y'all. It's an old video, but it's still some new stuff to a lot of people. I certainly hope y'all enjoy it. Hey, you know what? First thing I got to tell y'all is I don't know how this happened, but every one of these videos are the vertical type videos. Apparently I held my phone vertically instead of horizontal. So every one of the videos is going to be like this, and I apologize. But, still kind of fun. Now, if you've not ever seen a veneer machine, this is really pretty cool. That log that's on there, I should have got some video from the other side. But that log over there is about 28 inches in diameter. And it's shaving it off just like a toilet paper roll. Now what they're doing right now is rounding up the log. Of course, logs don't start out perfectly round. So they make these little bitty, little splotchy cuts like this, and until it starts making one great big, long, thin piece of veneer. They're getting it in high gear now. They got everything kind of cut off, and what they're doing, they're rolling up those little pieces there, and they're throwing them on the ground there, and then people like us can just walk by and pick up one, take a piece home for a sample, just to say you had a piece. So that's really pretty cool. I don't really know how they handle it once they actually get into production. I don't know, but they don't have to be too careful during this particular part of it. These are all just volunteers, I think, for the tractor show, tractor and machinery show. And quite obviously, this thing is powered by a big old steam engine over there. I think you saw just a few seconds of it at the beginning. Now what this here's a scale model. Guys really get into this. This is a scale model Rumley oil pull. I don't know what it is, probably a third scale, but I don't really know. And he's getting ready to fire up an old buzzsaw right here. So any of you guys that are into my old buzzsaw videos, you would kind of maybe get a little appreciation out of this here. This one here is really kind of nice without any of the guards or anything like that, But this guy did a remarkably good job on this. I just can't imagine having that much dedication to a particular segment of the hobby to be able to build something like that. It's absolutely incredible to me. Now this here is a truck-mounted or a trailer-mounted buzzsaw. You can see operated by this particular engineer. I'm not real big into the engine, so I'm not sure what it is, what brand it is, what size it is, or anything of that nature. Unless it's got a sign on the front, I can't really help you. But that's a pretty sizable engine. I would say at least 10 or 12 horsepower. just by having been around them a little bit at the shows. But it's a very smooth running engine, there's no doubt about it. Now you never know what you're going to run into at these old shows. Here's a couple examples of the old two-man chainsaws. On the other end you'll see a nice handle that you just grab a hold of because the guide bar is just physically so long. And those guide bars actually loosen up and flip down 90 degrees or at different angles, but the motor stays upright and hold on to the handlebars from that end. Now back before the old man bought the one-man McCulloch model 171 chainsaw back in the late 50s or thereabouts, both my brothers and myself were on the handle end of our old 5-foot mall two-man saw many times. Too many times to want to remember. Now if you guys really want to appreciate your fancy Steel or your Husky or whatever brand of modern saw you have, just imagine trying to cut wood with one of these gasoline engine powered crosscut saws. Now this is one of the neatest little Caterpillar tins that I think I've ever seen. This thing just purrs like a kitten. You can see it sitting there running. You can see the smoke pipe bounce a little bit. You can't even hardly hear it. It sounds like a sewing machine sitting there running. That thing is just as sweet as can be. You know, considering the tractors that we have today, the amenities that we have on the tractors, can you imagine going through the woods with something like this and trying to skid logs or hook onto a 5 or 6 bottom plow and try to go across the bottomland with machines like this? Just absolutely incredible, the change in, or the advancements in agricultural technology. I've got a Canadian buddy way up north that's a big Massey Harris fan. That's Dave from RCAF Polar Express. I put this little segment in here just specifically for Dave because he is such a fan. Now, I want him to let me know what he thinks of this particular 555 LP right here. That is a beast. I cannot imagine owning such a pristine piece of equipment. That's probably my favorite tractor of the entire show right there. So hopefully old Dave sees it. Sure. Yeah, a lot of them, yeah, I don't think they'll do either. There's more heat and torque. Now, steam engines were just a little bit before my time. I'm not real well versed on steam at all, but I can tell that's a case right there. You can see the logo dead on the front of the boiler. So, and this is a monster here, boy. I really like that one. Here's the next case in lineup. It's much smaller. I have no idea what size it is, but you can just tell physically by the size of the wheels and by the size of the boiler, and it's much smaller. But coming up next is a big old 110 horsepower case. Now this thing here, I'm pretty sure they'll have this one over on the in the field plowing later this afternoon, and this guy really pulls some huge plows. It's just incredible how much power they put to the ground. No show would be complete without a boring old Ford. This is anything but a boring old Ford. You take a look, there's a V8 conversion in there. I didn't look that close, but I want to say that's going to be a 302 conversion. 302 conversions were really popular in the aftermarket play toy type Ford tractors, and that's what I think this one is. Imagine romping the gas pedal to the floor on this one here. Now I'm going to give you a prejudiced point of view about this particular color of green. These things here are the smoothest running tractor I think in all of the old 30s, 40s, and 50s tractors. Those 6-cylinder motors in the 6-cylinder models are just smooth as could be. They're absolutely incredible. The little 4-cylinders were actually pretty smooth running too. Of course, most all the little 4-cylinders were. But then, man, every now and then you come across one that's got a GM 2-stroke Jimmy in it. Now, buddy, those were some screaming machines there. I've got a 2-stroke Detroit on one of my sawmills, and I cannot wait to get it fired up. But man, it would be great to have one of these old tractors. Now these little wide tread Oliver crawlers were really sought after back in the orchards and stuff, especially on the hillsides. When they had hillsides orchards out west, they were really popular. Obviously because of the wide stance. Well, take a look at what you see right there. That's a Caterpillar. Now I'm not sure, but I think I want to say that's a 3208 Caterpillar, but I just don't remember.
How many years you guys been here? How many years you been here? Yeah, how many years? A lot. Good. Thanks for coming. Thanks for bringing it, young man. Appreciate it. I'll tell you.
This is an old Hart Par before they merged with Oliver, or Oliver bought them and became Oliver Hart Par. It was a very good engine, or a very good tractor. This is going to pretty much wrap it up. We're getting down to the end of the line. Of course, there were hundreds and hundreds of more tractors there, but you know, you only got so much time. So many tractors, so little time. What are you going to do? So anyway, to make a long story short, that's just me just catching up on a couple of old videos. And you know what? This is Trackman 44, and I am out of here, guys.